Hi, welcome back to our live stream for this week. I'm Coach Nant, and today we're going to talk about advanced English, the rhythm of authority framework.
Hi,
Okay, so
welcome
we've
back to our
been
live
talking
stream
about
for
this
this
for
week.
a long
I'm
time.
Coach Nant, and today we're going to talk about
I think there's
advanced
some
English,
echo
the
that I
rhythm
hear
of
in the
authority
background framework.
framework.
Okay, so
Welcome
we've
back to our
been
live
talking
stream
about
for
this
this
for a
week.
long
I'm
time.
Coach Nant,
We're having a
and today we're going to
technical
talk about
difficulty, so I'll
advanced
just close
English,
echo
the
that I
rhythm
hear
of
this tab here. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so you've taken the courses. You applied for a TOEIC class or maybe TOEFL, IELTS, and then you might get like a perfect score. Some of you might have like 900 plus for TOEIC, and some of you might get a score or a band 8 for IELTS, and that's okay. But when you are in a meeting or a global meeting with other team members across the globe, you freeze, so you don't know how to open your mouth. You just freeze and you're thinking like, my colleague is already doing the work. Why should I try to give my thoughts? So that's a different mindset. Okay, so sometimes it's in the mind. That's why you cannot express yourself, because you're thinking that I might be judged for sounding like this, or my accent might be too thick, and they will not respect the data that I'm going to provide. So most of you, you're working in different industries like HR, management, like upper management. Some of you are in IT, in finance, logistics. So these are the students that we have er, at this point, and we also have some applicants who are in healthcare, like a nurse or doctor. And most of them, they say that I cannot speak out. I'm so afraid to make mistakes, or I'm afraid that people will judge me for how I sound. Like I have this thick accent and I'm shy. That's normal. I've been there too. So when I was younger, I stutter a lot when I speak with a foreign boss or anyone who is in the upper management. So I freeze a lot, and I'm also scared of speaking with people in the upper management or a business partner. So I don't have that guts, or what do you call that, the the desire to speak with or just connect with anyone. So I'm also an introvert. So maybe you are an introvert, but you can still do something to overcome that thinking. So you should have like a mindset of a business owner. So now that I'm managing a business, a family business that I manage overseas, so they are my team is in other country. So I know the feeling of being the owner of or the CEO of a company. So I always look forward to our meetings, and I want my staff to act like they own the business. So they're part of the business. So that's all that we are trying to expect from someone who is uh, working as a junior or a regular staff. Okay. Now there's a difference between a person who knows a lot of words and a person who knows a few words. So most people who know few words are the people who know how to use it, when and how. Okay. So there's a difference. There's a person who is a master of a dictionary. So they know how to define every word. Like you give them a word and they can uh, give you the meaning or the context of the word. Okay, I'm sorry. I just need to check something, like the audio of our live stream. Are we okay? Okay, so we are connected. So I'm just double checking. Okay. So there's a difference between a person who knows a lot of words, like who is a master of a dictionary, and someone who knows a few words but know when and how to use it. Most of the time, these people who know a few words, they sound more credible and believable because they know the right word choice at that specific moment. They know uh, that the 20% of your effort or 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. Okay, so let me explain. You have your wardrobe, you have a lot of dress or what do you call suit to wear. Like in your wardrobe, you have a lot of clothes, but you have 20% that you use all the time. So those are your favorites because you look better, you look credible, or you look maybe you look pretty or handsome in that wardrobe. Another thing is you have friends. For example, you have 10 friends. Do you hang out with all of your 10 friends? Most of the time, you just hang out with two or three, okay? Because these people are the best people for you. Like, they're like your best friends, okay? So that's the rule, the 80-20 rule. So it's the same thing with English. You don't need to know everything, like every word in the lexicon or the dictionary. You just need a few words that you need in your industry. So you might want to learn more phrases in your medical field if you're in medicine, or if you're in marketing, you should be familiar with those words. So today we're going to compare a junior phrase and versus a CEO phrase. So how does a CEO communicate? Okay, we're going to see that. So like this. So some silent perfection. So there are people in the boardroom or in a Zoom call in a global meeting. They stay silent because they want to be perfect. They want to be perceived as someone. Oh, he knows or she knows what his industry or something like that. But in a global setting, silence is a liability. So CEOs and business owners, they don't want that. They want you to be assertive and they want you to express yourself. If you're having an opinion about this thing, you need to speak up. That's part of the business. So when you talk with your partners, they want you to be active and participate because that creates an image that you are present and you are not there just to do the operations or something like that. So you are always present and you are very attentive. You know what's going on. Okay, so that's the point. That's why some big bosses they get angry if you don't participate because you're having a meeting with a business partner or a global meeting on a Zoom call. You are expected to speak up and talk about the business. Okay, so you're not there just to be quiet and you expect someone else to do the work for you. So that's not how it works. Okay, so your expertise becomes invisible. Okay, so you become invisible when you don't speak up or at least give your opinion about something. Okay, you don't just rely on your teammate. What if the time comes that your teammate is already out or they need to move to another company? So who's going to take charge? It's you, okay? So you should have that mindset that you should always speak up and represent your company, okay? Sometimes even if you make mistakes, your boss will appreciate that because at least you are trying. So you're showing that you have something to offer. So you know your craft. And you should be confident enough because you are handling those data or anything like the procedure. You've been handling it for many months or maybe years. So you should be confident and you should show that you own that data and you can explain clearly. And you are always willing to contribute, okay? not just rely on a teammate who's already an expert or they are a good communicator. So there are ways. Just show that you are respectful, and you might want to say like, if I may add, okay, so I can confirm that the data is synchronized, or I already validated the data, something like that. Now there are three pillars of the rhythm of authority. So I'm always emphasizing that the rhythm of authority, because maybe you don't know yet, I'm also a musician. So I've been a part of a university choir or a chorus. So we sing in a choral group, and we're going to different parts of the world. Before that, that was when I was younger, like university days. So I know that in music, you can also translate that to speech, or when you are trying to communicate with the rhythm. So there's a perfect timing, emphasis. So it's the same thing with music. We have timing. So the first pillar of rhythm of authority is the thought group. Okay, so you should always speak with your thoughts. Okay, not just word per word. Okay, speak in a group of your in your thought group. Okay, group of your thoughts. Number two, there's this power of pause, power of the pause. You don't just speak like a rapper, like you speak so fast. You should learn how to pause and give emphasis to words. For example, you're in marketing, so you would like to tell them that you say there's an 85% increase in our sales this quarter. So you pause, okay? Let that sink in. So that's another style, okay? And then the third one is being resonant with it with your tone, and you should have the precision, okay? So I'm going to talk about precision later. Now let's check this table. So I came up with this for a situation is you give an update, you propose for a change. Maybe you are a new employee and you would like to suggest a different workflow or a system. Number three is handling a delay, and number four is asking for a feedback. Okay, let's go to the first one, giving an update. So how do you sound like a junior? I think the project will be done next week. Okay. So that's how a junior communicates. So it's very choppy. For a CEO, it's not word by word, not word per word, it's logical chunks. So this slash here, it will indicate like a pause. Okay. So you say, the project is on track for a next week delivery. Okay, so you pause. So you say that the project is progressing or something is going on. Okay, project is on track. And then let that sink in first, and then for a next week delivery. So this is useful if you are working in logistics. Okay, number two, proposing a change. So as a new employee, you notice that the workflow is too bad. It's like it's so long. It takes a while before we get the results. So instead of sounding like a junior, like we should maybe try to change the price. Okay, so it's very junior. Okay, the CEO way is I'm proposing a strategic price adjustment to improve margins. Okay, so that's how you phrase it. I'm proposing, pause, a strategic price adjustment, pause, to improve margins. So that's how you use the rhythm, okay? So you can change this. You can use this as your model sentence, okay? So depending on your industry. So you can say, I'm proposing a strategic schedule change for our nurses to improve mental health or something like that. So that is if you're working in a hospital or in healthcare. Okay. Number three, situation number three, handling a delay. Okay. The junior way, sorry, we are late because of the server error. That's very junior. CEO way, like think of yourself like a Leonardo DiCaprio or Tony Stark or Iron Man. Okay. So we've identified the system error and are currently auditing the root cause. So we want to know the reason behind the error. Okay, so you don't just state the problem, you're trying to audit and check the root cause. So again, this is applicable to logistics, handling a delay. So there might be a delay in the shipment of the products or the items. Next one is asking for feedback. Okay, so this is very normal for some industries. So you want to get a feedback in order for you to improve the product or the process. So there's this feedback loop. Okay, so you try to design a system, you try to implement, and you try to use it in your business, and then you try to get feedback. So how can we make it shorter or easier? Okay. Junior way, do you like the new design for the app? Okay, so that's not the way. It's very choppy. So you say, I'd like your perspective on the new UI before we finalize. So, what is a UI? This is for IT. It's user interface. I believe it's UI, user interface. I'd like your perspective on the new UI before we finalize. Okay, so there's a user interface. So, if you are a front end developer, you can use this, okay, because you design the look of the app or the website. So before you finalize, you ask for the opinion of your boss or maybe your teammate. Okay, now the executive swap. And if you want more of this, I created a long PDF guide where you can swap the junior way and the CEO way. So if you want a copy, I can send it to you. Just comment down below the word SWAP or swap. Okay. So just comment swap and we're going to send you the PDF guide for the very long swap guide. So you want to be valuable and you don't want to appear vague. So we came up with this PDF and you can always request. Just comment the word swap. Now, there's this another thing about precision. So I told you that I'm going to elaborate precision. So I've seen this meme around the internet. It's so funny. You should search for it. It's like the jail versus Yale. Okay, so there's this group of people who have the poor precision. So I can't blame you. Maybe you grew up in another region where you have this fossilized way of speaking. So some people they have like a deficiency with a letter. So instead of J, it sounds like Y. So you interchange the two. And another situation is I had a choir mate before. They're having problem with P and F. So they interchange letter P and letter F. Then there's this funny meme. So the situation is like the HR is interviewing this applicant. Okay, so he's applying for a job. And then the HR said, So it's like they're looking at the resume. So can you explain this 3 year or 4 year gap in your CV or in your resume? So the interviewer said, "Oh, that's the time that I went to Yale." So Yale, right? So the interviewer was so impressed. Whoa, I'm impressed. You're hired. So they were thinking about Yale, the University of Yale. So that's a tier one, the first tier university in the US. So it's a very respectable university like Harvard. So it's Yale University. So he went to Yale. Impressive. You're hired. So imagine that. And then the employee said, "Thanks. I appreciate it. I really needed a job." So see, he interchanged letter Y with J. So he's pertaining to a job. So I really needed a job. So that's job. But he mispronounced J because he interchanges J to Y. So he said job. So that means he didn't go to Yale. He went to jail. Okay. So that's poor precision, and we don't want that in communication. And the other case with my choirmate, he loves to sing the song of Randy Randy Van Warmer. So the song is like, the title is "Just When I Needed You Most." So he plays this guitar, and then he's confused with letter P and letter F. And the first lyrics is, you you packed in the morning I. So you packed in the morning I, something like that. So you packed in the morning I, but he's confused with P and F. So instead of saying packed, he said you. Okay, I'm not going to pronounce it, but it sounds terrible. It's like it's full of profanity, or he's saying a bad word. So I packed in the morning I. Okay. I packed in the morning I. So imagine someone singing that, but instead of P, it's F. I. So you already know, right? So that's what we call poor precision. And that happens to all of us. So depending on your region, you might be coming from a different region who is confused with J and Y, someone who is confused with P and F, and you interchange that. And sometimes those traits are fossilized, so they become a habit. That's why sometimes you need someone to coach you, because even if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, if no one's telling you that that's how you sound, you don't have a coach, you'll be in trouble. Like this guy who went to Yale. So instead of going to Yale, he meant that he went to jail. So imagine the horror for the HR who hired someone who is an ex-convict or someone who went out of jail just because of poor precision. So if you've come this far, I know that you're serious with your English and your English proficiency. That's why you can scan the QR code on the screen and book your 15 to 45-minute coaching call. Okay, so I can evaluate your speaking style. Take advantage while it's still free, okay? Because there will come to a point that we're going to be overbooked. All right. So I'll see you in the next live stream, okay? Bye.